Jason Bateman and Ben Affleck star in what I think is one of the funniest movies of the year. What do you think?
You'll know soon enough. Here's what else is coming up this week at the movies.
You guys belong together.
Can Sandra Bullock and Bradley Cooper duplicate their summer successes in All About Steve?
Bravo!
We've also got the early review of 9, voiced by Elijah Wood and Martin Landau.
Plus, Oscar winner Charlize Theron tries to escape her past in The Burning Plane.
What are you doing? What do you want?
Oh, hey. Oh, how are you? You came here all the way just to see me?
Yes, sir. Ask and you shall receive. You know who said that?
No.
Jesus.
Did Jesus tell you to come here?
Oh, you did.
Good.
Sandra Bullock stalks Bradley Cooper in All About Steve. I'm Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm A.O. Scott of the New York Times. Michael, I know we're both really excited to be here hosting At the Movies, so let's get right to it
See what we can do.
What we came here to do. After keeping a low profile for a few years, Sandra Bullock had a big hit this summer with the romantic comedy The Proposal. Bradley Cooper broke out in The Hangover, an even bigger hit. And Thomas Hayden Church has been on a roll since Sideways. Now all three of them are in All About Steve. And guess what? It's dreadful.
I thought maybe we could go to Ernesto's. They have this drink called El Gallo Negro. It's a black rooster. You have like 2 of those drinks. It's like, oh, you okay? You okay?
Is Mary Horowitz a crazy stalker psycho or a smart girl with red boots? Well, she's Sandra Bullock, which means that she's both abrasive and charming, with charm winning out in the end. Usually, anyway. This time, Bullock plays a nerdy chatterbox crossword puzzle maker whose parents set her up on a blind date with Bradley Cooper's Steve. Steve, a TV news cameraman, leaves town on assignment and Mary comes chasing after him, much to the amusement of Hartman Hughes, Steve's leathery colleague, played by Thomas Hayden Church.
Steve! Oh, Jesus, she's got a machete. Where the hell did she get a machete? Oh, my God. She's going to cut my feet off. I'm not going to be able to walk, man. She's going to make me eat my legs.
She's gonna make you eat your legs?
Yeah, I read
Oh,
about it.
really?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
What, some sort of pimento leg loaf?
Hey,
Shut up! Just shut up!
Yeah.
Just shut up! Just shut up!
Ken Jeong, who also showed up in The Hangover, is along for the ride, and his character's exhaustion and exasperation pretty much match what I felt after about 20 minutes of All About Steve. Bullock talks a mile a minute, uses all kinds of big funny words, and scrunches up her mouth and eyes in an effort to find new ways to be zany and perky and cute. And you do root for her. She's Sandra Bullock. How can you not? But at the same time, you really kind of wish she'd just shut up and go away. Skip this one.
Yeah, I think you have an actress here who audiences love, and they certainly loved her in The Proposal enough to make that a big hit. And I think here you have somebody wildly overcompensating for those reasons you're talking about, just because the script does not hold together. This is not a consistent character of any kind.
It's 15 different movies at once.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a media satire, it's a zany road comedy, it's a sort of touching fable about being yourself and daring to be different.
Right.
And it's none of them very successfully or very well.
Now, here's the other thing. I think this has not been a good year for female protagonists who are always these sort of desperate, insecure, man-hungry. It feels like it's setting a bad tone, coming right off The Ugly Truth, the Katherine Heigl picture, which was actually a little more soul-crushing than this one. I mean, this one had a little ambition just because it's trying 15 genres in one, but man, it does not pull together.
It's also kind of affirming the point that this woman is too odd and strange and quirky and maybe smart to actually get a man.
To live on planet Earth.
Yes, well, but also to have it to be the successful heroine of a romantic comedy.
I like Bullock, but not this movie. I say skip it too. Here's a question that gets a new answer every year. How grim is too grim when it comes to feature animation? Your gut-level reaction to the new film 9 is going to determine how you would answer that question. 9 opens on Wednesday. This is an early review. The premise: machines have wiped out humankind, and what's left of our planet looks like Warsaw or Dresden after World War II. Hiding from the dinosaur-like creatures roaming this landscape is a tiny band of brothers and sisters. Here, 9, voiced by Elijah Wood, realizes he's not alone and isn't sure if 2, voiced by Martin Landau, is friend or foe.
But if you know where to look, these ruins are full of riches. Wait. Almost there.
Friend? Friend?
Friend.
Director Shane Acker's fantasy leans heavily on action sequences like this one, with metallic monster battling goggle-eyed burlap puppets. hand it to Acker. His film is all of a piece, visually and thematically, but after a while I felt worn down by 9, which was not the case with Acker's excellent short film of the same name. That Oscar-nominated short created a bombed-out world of both dread and wonder. This feature-length movie is mostly about the dread and the soul-sucking electrocution sequences, of which there are many. On the other hand, anyone interested in the boundaries of contemporary animation is bound to be curious about 9, so I would say rent it.
Oh, I think this animation is so beautiful. You want to see it on the big screen. The way it gets the cloth and the dust and the stone and creates, I think, a really seamless and fascinating, albeit dark and scary world. This is not a movie for young children.
Right. I have no problem with the dark and scary, and it's appropriately rated PG-13. Here, it just feels a little more like piling on and a little too much on the kind of violence that, to me, feels like I'm getting ground down.
Yes, there were these big action sequences, but I thought there were also some really delicate, beautiful, haunting moments. Ones that reminded me a little bit of old Eastern European animation, the way that you follow this character who wakes up in this bizarre world, and it doesn't explain everything all at once.
No,
you kind of
although
follow him as he
I would say
it.
it's explaining too much, because I like the short was wordless, completely wordless, and I almost wish they'd had the nerve to go with that on the feature. But I think we can agree that it really does create a world that anybody, you know, who's at all interested in what animation can do and the kind of dark stories that it's open to now, increasingly to audiences, you know, it's worth seeing in one context or another. I say, you know, you can wait on this one, but
I say you got to go ahead and see it. Coming up next, the best movie on this week's show, Jason Bateman and Ben Affleck star in Extract.
And later, Oscar winner Charlize Theron seeks redemption in The Burning Plains.
Let's go.
Well, let me introduce you to the new temps. This is Cindy.
Hey.
Hi.
Damn. She work here?
Yes, the temp.
She's a tramp?
Temp.
Those of us who have spent many, many hours in a cubicle have a couple of good friends in American pop culture: Dilbert, the comic strip, and Mike Judge's 1999 cult movie, Office Space. Now, writer-director Judge has come up with a bookend to Office Space, and it may be modest, but I got more laughs out of Extract than any other American comedy this summer. Jason Bateman plays Joel, the head of a food flavoring company, whose factory is staffed by the sort of slackers you'd find on Judge's series King of the Hill. Here, watch how the unbelievably reliable character actor J.K. Simmons delivers a lesson in underplaying.
Right, yeah, well, Boy Genius asked for a raise. I said, are you kidding me? You almost got somebody killed last week. And then he tried to blame it on Dinkus over there.
You know you really ought to learn the employees' names.
When one of Joel's workers suffers an industrial accident, a con artist, played by Mila Kunis, slinks in to stir up trouble and foment a lawsuit. Joel cannot stop thinking about this woman, and his bartender pal, played by a really funny Ben Affleck, proposes a cockamamie scheme to hire a gigolo to seduce Joel's wife, played by Kristen Wiig, so that Joel can dive into his own affair without guilt, or much guilt. The problem is, this so-called pool boy for hire will not leave well enough alone.
I think we're in love.
In love? Oh, are you stupid? Oh, stupid Brad. Stupid, dumb Brad. You think that she is in love with you? You don't even know her, okay?
A lot of the jokes are drug and gigolo related, but Judge's picture is very deftly plotted. This one sneaks up on you, so I say see it.
It's interesting that you mentioned Office Space, and this is a companion to it, but this is very much in a way from the boss's point of view. That was about disaffected workers, and in this one, the workers are the problem. And there's something gutsy about that, you know, at a time when so many people are getting laid off, to sort of point the finger at the lazy slackers on the factory floor.
But he's not making any big polemical point, too. I think he's just a really observant humorist, Mike Judge is. And, you know, really, even back to Beavis and Butthead, for God's sake.
Well, absolutely. And his great theme has always been the varieties of stupidity in American life. And nobody has a better sense of how many different ways there are for different people to be complete idiots in this society than Mike Judge. I mean, we see here in this clip where Jason Bateman is talking on the cell phone with Ben Affleck, and just they can't get anything right.
What's the boy's last name? I'll call information.
I don't remember. It's a Mexican name.
Mexican? For Christ's sake, Dean, the guy's got blonde hair and blue eyes. Come on.
I thought it was strange, too. A guy who looks like that had a Mexican last name, but I don't judge people, you know. Could have been a Filipino name. I think it's Lopez.
Ben Affleck is so funny in this movie, and there's so many good jokes packed in there. Some of them really kind of broad, obvious visual puns, like a great bong hit sequence, and some of them very sly and silly and
Very
satirical.
slight, but no caricature. Really,
No.
you'd expect it, but Jason Bateman, very subtle, and I think really Mike Judge's sense of humor, too. And he's our poet laureate of stupid.
Amen. I say see it. And coming up next, one of the most talked about movies from this year's Sundance Film Festival. Patton Oswalt stars in Big Fan.
And on next week's show, Matt Damon becomes an unlikely whistleblower with a really bad haircut. In the comedy, The Informant will have an early review.
I'm twice as smart as 007.
What do you want?
Tenemos que hablar, Miranda.
You have the wrong girl. My name is Sylvia. Okay?
Santiago me mandó a buscarte.
Kim Basinger plays her mother. Our next movie is The Burning Plane, written and directed by Guillermo Arriaga. Charlize Theron stars as a sad restaurant hostess in Portland, Oregon, in flight from her past. Is her name Sylvia or Mariana? So I say, skip it. Birds fly through the air. As you may have noticed, I've scrambled up my review and presented it out of the usual order. I thought that way it would seem more profound, more mysterious. But maybe you found it confusing, irritating, even pretentious. If that's the case, you have a pretty good idea of what it's like to sit through The Burning Plane.
You make me so happy.
Who the hell's this guy?
John!
When you leave your wife, then you can talk.
Arriaga's scripts include Amores Perros, 21 Grams, and Babel. He's sort of become the M. Night Shyamalan of art house cinema, calling out the same narrative tricks again and again and again with diminishing returns. In The Burning Plane, we follow 3 or maybe 4 different stories that ultimately converge in ways that are both completely predictable and utterly preposterous.
I don't want to see you anymore.
Forever.
I can't keep seeing you.
I'm gonna wait for you at the trailer every day at noon until you come back.
Charlize Theron, Kim Basinger, and Jennifer Lawrence are a trio of unhappy blonde women, linked together in a multi-generational saga that includes adultery, arson, cancer, child abandonment, a plane crash, self-mutilation, and teenage pregnancy. I have a feeling that if the story were told in a straight line, The Burning Plane would seem completely laughable. But in the end, it does come full circle, and so will I. Birds fly through the air, and I say, skip it.
I say that's a beautiful deconstruction of a movie that really should just have an out-of-order sign kind of like plastered to the screen. And the peculiar thing, I think, is that you tick off all those melodramatic incidents, which really don't feel like real life or good drama.
No.
And yet, the tone of this thing, this is Arriaga's first feature as a director. It is the most solemn thing since the heyday of the Bible epics. I mean, it is
and
really
you see
heavy.
everything is telegraphed, you know, half an hour before it happens. And so you sit there waiting and waiting and waiting for the thing that you already know to be revealed. And
I think you found out earlier than I did, though, because because there's a reveal in the middle, right, where you find out that one character is related to another in a different way, right? And it's not really a whodunit; it's more of a when'd you guess it and a who cares. And I say skip it.
Next movie. To say that Paul Alfiero, the main character in Big Fan, loves the New York Giants would be an understatement. The team is what gives meaning and purpose to his life. Paul, who lives with his mother on Staten Island, works as a parking lot attendant, a job that gives him plenty of time to write the rants he phones into his favorite late-night sports radio talk show.
Hey, Sports Dog, how you doing? I'm just calling to say I can't wait for this Sunday when we finally shut these Philly clowns up once and for all. I can't tell you how sick I am of Philadelphia Phil.
Paul is played by Patton Oswalt, a fine comedian, probably best known to movie audiences as the voice of Remy the Rat in Ratatouille. Big Fan, while sometimes funny, shows him in a very different light. It's a modest, drab little drama about a psychologically unstable guy living in a sad corner of America.
You know what's a riot? Is you spending 20 years collecting all these sauce packets that you're never going to use. That's a riot.
You're a sick boy, you know that, Paul? You need help.
And you need 6,000 egg rolls to put all that stuff on.
This movie was written and directed by Robert Siegel, who wrote the script for The Wrestler. Like that movie, Big Fan has an intriguing main character who lives on the fringes of the sports world, and some interesting ideas, in this case about the passion that binds fans to professional athletes. When he's assaulted by one of his football idols, Paul's life takes a surprising turn. By the end, I thought Big Fan was spinning its wheels. But Patton Oswalt's performance is good enough, and the themes of this movie are interesting enough, that I say, rent it.
Yeah, I think Patton Oswalt is more than good enough. I think you're misreading this film a little bit as kind of a naturalistic drama. I did not take it that way. I think it's more just a black comedy about utter humiliation.
But the thing there, I mean, I see your point, but the humor then is based on a kind of condescension to these characters and treating them as grotesques. I mean, so that if there was a Staten Island Anti-Defamation League, I think they'd be picketing this movie. and it's a thing that you see, I think, in a lot of independent films where people in, you know, provincial, out-of-the-way places, maybe lower middle-class people, are kind of treated with a certain amount of contempt. I do think that Patton Oswalt's performance gets away from that.
Absolutely no, and that's why it's
transcends the material.
I agree. It's a cheap way. It is a cheap tactic to make everybody around this protagonist more unsympathetic and grotesque than he is. But I think Oswalt, he's doing work here he has never done on screen. It's the most effective thing he's ever done in any kind of vein, and he's the reason you should see it. Coming up next, we're picking the movies that changed our cinematic lives forever. The DVD Out Now segment.
They're gonna get you, Steven. One way or another, you gotta go on the record.
Taking a look at DVDs out now, Michael, for some reason, recommends State of Play with Russell Crowe and Ben Affleck. I think you should skip it. But we both agree that you should see Sugar, a very fine film about a young Dominican baseball player.
Sure is. Finding a movie like Sugar is one of the things that makes being a film critic so rewarding. And that got us thinking about movies that got us hooked at a young age, very young. When I was 8 or 9, I saw the 1932 Marx Brothers movie called Horse Feathers. Watching Groucho, Harpo, Chico, and peripherally Zeppo wreaking havoc all over Huxley College was, for me, essentially the birth of a new religion. I'd never seen this kind of anarchy before. So a few months after I saw Horse Feathers, I saw another later Marx Brothers movie, The Big Store, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, now why am I not laughing? Why was Horse Feathers so much funnier than this movie? I love the Marx Brothers, and I think seeing those two comedies when I was a kid, back to back, got me thinking about why something works and why it doesn't. And Tony, that is how critics are born.
Michael, my pick is also a comedy, although the first time I saw it, or maybe the first half dozen times I saw it, most of the jokes went right over my head. But that hardly mattered. The movie was Annie Hall, certainly not an obscure title, but for me, back in 1977, it was endlessly fascinating and mysterious. That was the year of Star Wars, of course, and like every other kid I knew, I saw that one again and again and again. But it was Woody Allen's New York. It was the faraway galaxy that really drew me in.
So listen, you drive?
Do I drive? No, I got a problem with driving.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I got a license, but I have too much hostility.
Here were all these grown-ups, anxious, opinionated, sex-obsessed, talking and arguing and falling in and out of love, and I wanted nothing more than to understand what it was they were talking about, to crack that code of self-conscious, sexy, cerebral humor. And I still can't help but identify with Alvy Singer, a guy whose idea of the perfect date movie is a 4-hour subtitled documentary about the Nazi occupation of France.
Tony, I saw that movie when I was a little older than when you saw it, I think, but there was a dateless and desperate, you know, teenager who's seen Wisconsin. That movie meant a lot to me, too. So,
well, and Wisconsin is where Annie Hall hails from. And
Chippewa Falls.
Yes, indeed. And the Marx Brothers is funny because I remember when I was a young kid on the Main Street, there was a little theater that used to show matinees on Saturday mornings of old movies, and I saw all those Marx Brothers movies then. So both Annie Hall and Horse Feathers are available on DVD right now, and don't forget to seek out Sugar on DVD as well.
And for an extended discussion of the movies that influenced Tony and me at a very young age, go to atthemoviestv.com.
Coming up next, want to know what you can't miss this weekend? Stay tuned for my 3 to See.
Closed captioning for At the Movies is sponsored by Hotel provided by Park Hyatt Chicago, Chicago's award-winning hotel and luxury dining experience, located in the heart of Chicago's magnificent mile on Water Tower Square.
Now it's time for my 3 to See, and I've got a little something for everyone this week. Number 3 is Ponyo, the latest from the great Japanese animator Hayao Miyazaki. It's a sweet lyrical fable about nature and the search for self, done with Miyazaki's usual visual magic and moral wisdom. Number 2 is Extract, which we were just discussing. Mike Judge's smart and silly satire of the varieties of American stupidity. And number 1 is Passing Strange, Spike Lee's filmed record of the last performance of a rousing, astonishingly smart Broadway musical written by the rock guitarist known as Stu. Be sure to check this one out at theaters or on demand on cable television.
Looking forward to seeing that. That's it for now. Remember, we're always online. Just go to atthemoviestv.com.
We'll leave you with a recap of this week's show. Join us next week when we'll have an early review of Matt Damon in Steven Soderbergh's The Informant. And until then, we'll be at the movies.
Activon Ultra Strength for powerful pain relief. A convenient applicator means no messy creams. Activon, applied directly where it hurts for joint pain, muscle pain, arthritis, and backache.
Here's a plan for America's broadband users to save $16 billion a year and $300 individually. Switch to Net Zero dial-up at $9.95 per month. Go to netzero.com.
For a limited time, we've got drop-dead prices at our flea, tick, and heartworm sale. So save today. Call now or order online from 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy.
Pay less BOGO. Buy one, get one half off everything. Save now. Feel good. Pay less.